Colleagues kept leaving documents at my desk without identification, so I threw them away as trash. First off, English isn't my first language, so there might be mistakes. I work as a personal assistant to one of the top managers in a quite big company, around 500 people in Ho. I have a separate small office that is out of secretary's view, so they can't see who comes or goes. Among other things, I have to check all the documents that are addressed to my boss, both external and internal mail, including personal notes. I look through them and report them personally, and redirect if needed. Even though I'm almost all the time at my desk, sometimes I go out to talk to my boss or simply use bathroom. In cases like this, people either wait at my office, leave it with boss's secretary, or simply put it on my desk with a note on who brought it, so I can call back and get some info if needed. It's not an official rule here, but it's common sense. Well, common sense for everyone, but one small department. Head of that department is a great fun guy, but really laid back and inattentive at times. I had other issues with his department and told him about it, but nothing ever changed. Usually they just leave stuff on my table, without folder or a note. I always have to track down person who made it by calling their department and wasting time. Please, don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound important or something. I am paid to be efficient and I like being efficient. So, once I go to bathroom and return to a paper laying on my desk. No note, nothing. By the content of it, it could be from literally anyone, but I have a strong gut feeling it's that department. I know, it sounds like not a big deal. But when you deal with this for 3 years straight, it annoys hell out of you. So I put it away, waiting for them to call me at the very least. 2 hours goes by, nothing. So I throw it with other trash into shredder. 5 hours after that, my boss calls me and asks if I had received any documents from head of that department. I answer with personally, I haven't received anything. Just in a short while, head of that department comes to my office with one of his employees. Apparently my boss gave him an earful, because that paper was due few hours ago. So the head of department tells me that his employee, I'll call him K, swears he gave me that paper. Did you give it to me personally?
No, but I left it on the desk.
Me pointing to my desk full of other papers. Where? Did you leave it with the note?
No, but it was quite important. You would have seen it.
Well, if it was important, you should have given it to me personally, right? And that was the end of conversation. He brought and handed the document in 5 minutes. Couple of days pass by and they bring me everything personally. I doubt it's for long, but for now I feel satisfied and a bit bitchy. Just to clarify, no damage was done to the company or my boss, because of the delay of that paper. Builders dump stuff in front of my office door. Builders lunch now paints the walls. I work alone in a small office in a public building that is undergoing some renovations while it's closed to the public. There is an office space in front of my office that is usually unoccupied. Think of an office space with the manager's office attached at the end. I just rent the manager's office. Building managers were supposed to notify us if they ever intended to rent out the space in front of my office, so we could build a temporary wall or something, so I didn't need to walk through someone else's office to get to mine. But I guess they thought they didn't need to do this, because the builders are only there temporarily. So now the space is occupied by the site office for construction. I'm slightly annoyed at the building management for not notifying me of this, but I'm way more annoyed at the builders because the space has turned into a dumping ground. To get to my office I have to walk past light fixtures, tool bags, random chairs in the walkway and a toilet bowl, and I have to listen to builders talking shit while 12 of them sit in a room fit for 5 having lunch. It's like a teenager's bedroom, but instead of clothes and stale socks the floor is covered in building materials and tools. I ask them to keep it clear as it's the walkway to my office and not a storeroom, and they say sure but basically roll their eyes at me and do nothing. So I took some pictures of the mess and reported it to building management, and 1 week later they tidied up slightly, and gave me a sassy,
we cleaned up a bit around here for you, mate, no need to thank us,
as I walked in that morning. A few later and it was almost worse than it was before, to the point I couldn't leave my office without moving 4 boxes of supplies out from directly in front of the door yesterday. I also hear them whispering about how I'm such a beep, and a stuck-up public servant. I'm private sector, but whatever. Cut to today. I go to step out to get a coffee and before I open the door, I look through the window of the door to see someone's half-eaten spaghetti sitting on the floor right in front of the doorway. I lose my composure for a moment and say fuck it, open the door and trip on the bowl of spaghetti, causing it to spray all over the room and the 2 builders in the room. Spaghetti gets on everything. Sauce on their computers, noodles in the bloody toilet bowl, it's in the carpet and most impressively all over the builders. They start to shout at me but I get just as mad saying, who the hell puts a bowl of spaghetti on the floor in front of a door? I kind of snapped at this point, and started lambasting them, which is very out of character for me. I told them this is an office, not a storeroom, and you're worse than my teenage nephew, and told them to clean their shit up or I'll start kicking everything aside that's in the path, delicate or not. They sheepishly say yes, and I go get my coffee. When I return, no one is in the office and the mess is still on everything. I think they wipe the laptops down, but I don't care at this point and retreat into my office and focus on work. Fast forward a few hours and I get an email from the building management. I crack a huge smile as I read an email basically saying,
"The builders reported your conduct and had us come inspect the damage. However, we noticed the unacceptable amounts of mess in the office space had not been cleared up from the last time we asked them to, and they admitted the food was placed on the floor in front of the doorway, so we expect them to clean up the mess, pay for cleaning and place no blame on you in this case. If the mess comes back, call us directly, as they are on their last warning from a few other incidents in the building."
It was a longer and more official email, but you get the point. So now I'm occasionally looking through the window on the door, while builders crawl around on their hands and knees scrubbing spaghetti out of the carpet. I'm not proud of losing my cool and handling things the way I did, but I won't deny that it worked. And it felt really good. Neighbor threatens to sue me for something ridiculous, so I take action first. Little backstory, but I own a twin home by myself. The other side of the twin home is rented by 3 guys in their early 30s. Earlier this year, there was an incident where one of the roommates ruined my basement carpet by leaving his sump pump hose laid against my house. It was an honest mistake, but he refuses to pay for the damages, so a court case is ultimately upcoming, but I have yet to file the paperwork for it. So as you can imagine, things are a little tense between us at the moment. Now that that's out of the way, onto the story. This past weekend, a friend of mine ran into one of the roommates that lives next to me. Neither of them realized that they knew me, but after a while, they found out that they both knew me. My neighbor then went off, saying I'm the neighbor from hell, because I plan on taking the other roommate to court to recover my costs for the basement. He said that if I do go through with the lawsuit, that the homeowner they rent from is going to sue me back, claiming the deck on my house is not up to code. To the best of my knowledge, you can't sue someone for that since it's not causing you any financial harm, and they're not the building police. However, just in case something did come about, I checked property records and verified that all permits and inspections were properly done for my deck, so I'm covered. But this got me thinking. Last summer, my neighbors built their deck. So I checked with the city, and discovered that no permits were filed for it. So guess who's going to be getting a visit from the city building inspector later this week? Ultimately, it may result in them having to tear it down completely, but more likely is that they'll just have to pay a fine.